All right, friends, up to now we've become familiar with the entire structure of our MetaTrader environment. That means we've learned what each of the tools you see here in MetaTrader does. We've gotten to know the time frames, the lines, the scrolls, the zoom, and tools like lines and so on. We've covered all of these here. Now it's time for us to see what's next. What are the other tools in our MetaTrader? That is, the auxiliary tools for our trading or for assisting our analysis, called indicators. You come here to select the specific options for the title, which in this section you provide along with the attachments part, and then you see the names appearing. This action makes the directional arrows of the columns. Specifically, the columns containing the country's data point directly to an address. The columns of the data displayed below are currently empty, which means you don't see your own NH2 values. Please keep in mind that these are your own specific industrial data sets that you have uploaded. They have a separate window. So the first difference we recognize between trending indicators and oscillators is that indicators are placed directly on the price on the candlesticks. Like the moving average here, like the Bollinger Bands, and the examples you see here, Ichimoku, Parabolic, and others, whenever we use any of them, and for example, this type of indicator, for example, when I add a moving average, it appears over the price, meaning it displays itself on these candles. But when I use an oscillator, for example, I go to insert indicator oscillator and activate something like the MACD oscillator. The oscillator has its own separate window. So this was the first difference that we could see. When I activate the MACD oscillator, for example, the oscillator has its own separate window. So this was the first difference we could understand here. When we right-click on the screen and select indicator list, it shows us every indicator that's on the screen, and we can delete them or make changes to them. Now, we're going to go over all the indicators and oscillators that are in the Let's review. And there's also an indicator that Mr. Bill Williams himself invented. And there's another type called custom. Custom means it's been personalized, but they're not very important for us. For example, it's like the MACD indicator or the same MACD, but they've just changed some of its periods, and here what happens is that it's added again as a custom indicator in MetaTrader. We don't deal with custom indicators because we can customize any indicator ourselves if we want. And if our strategy requires it, we can customize it ourselves. But let's go back to the basics and get familiar with all the indicators. The first type is insert greater than indicator greater than trend, and we'll get to know the ADX. What is ADX? ADX consists of 3 lines. First of all, let's go into its properties. The default period for ADX is 14. We'll make its color a bit darker green now. The ADX line, it currently has a positive DI. For example, we can easily make the positive DI blue and the negative DI red to distinguish them. We can even remove the dashed line style entirely and make them both solid lines. Right here, we see the ADX indicator displayed on the chart. Well, the ADX is generally used with a level 20 threshold, so we can go directly into the ADX indicator settings menu, and in the specific level section, we can manually add a level 20 for better clarity. Let's add it. Well, we say, show it to us at level 20 and display it as a solid black line. Here, we are looking at the ADX indicator, which consists of 3 parameters, 3 different lines inside it. Now, we want to add level 40 to our ADX. We open the ADX, go to the level section, and select Add or Insert to add it. Let's add level 40. As we said, When the ADX line itself goes above 40, it indicates that the market is trending. Guys, pay close attention to this. The ADX line does not mean that when it goes up, the market must be profitable, or if the chart is going down and the ADX line is going up, it mostly shows that the market is trending and has strength. Regardless of direction, when this line strengthens, it shows the balance of forces and which side is winning. That indicates a market trend. Like RSI, we often assume up is bullish and down is bearish. That is clearly not the case in this situation, and it is vital to understand that the facts we are seeing do not match those expectations. In this particular instance, the reality is quite different from what was previously suggested, leading us to a different conclusion about the current state of affairs. We must recognize that the conditions present here are unique and do not follow the pattern one might expect, making it certain that such a description does not apply to our scenario. And we have successfully turned our negative DI line to red. Now let's take a closer look at the market and see. Let's see together, guys. For example, if we decide to switch over to another time frame right here. Yeah, it's really cool. Let's see here how the market is moving. Switching time frames, the market is ranging here. After this range, the blue DI crossed above the red DI and the ADX line moved out of this zone. Of course, let me give you a golden tip, guys. We never enter a trade based solely on an indicator or just the confirmation of one indicator, even if we are working with indicators. Basically, we analyze using price movements or price action, and we assess the situation. When the indicator also gives confirmation in the direction of our analysis, it adds to our advantage. That's why indicators confirm. ADX breakout. You can see here that the ADX hadn't crossed 40, so I didn't pay any attention to it at all. But at this edge, my ADX crossed 40, and after that, coming out of this range, I saw this beautiful profit. It's a very important point. So if we want to use the ADX indicator, we need to know the DI lines and also recognize the ADX line itself, the base level, and the 40 level. We need to know the ADX, the 20 level, the 40 level, and how to get signals from it. And we should understand that confirmation from the ADX is not mandatory for entering a trade. Why? Because if we want to trade using any indicator and rely 100% only on the indicator's confirmation, I guarantee you'll get margin called. That is when we have already done analytical work on price movements, identified the trend, and are waiting to enter a trade. It's not like whenever the indicator goes above 40, we should just trade in that direction. For example, look here. Here the indicator has gone above 40. The ADX is up there. In the direction of the trend, Navidi. He said, let everyone's behavior improve because of you. We have two main market conditions. Also, in the main office, when we are in the market, we follow the rules. there are also plaster rules. What is this? Are all our policies in this state? It could be a matter of invasion. It's ready. The municipality is also involved. Abandoned tons or whatever. Roll. Let's get higher. Or festival, connection, opinions, semester. The behavior went the way a person is as things go on still. Habillage with us. In fact, in the history and the side, I am. But it wants to settle at this price for a while before continuing, like here, where it ranged and spent a lot of time at this price before moving on. Instead of dropping a lot from here and then coming back, it just stayed here for a period of time. So this is called a time correction, meaning from August 21st at 4 o'clock to August 27th at 4 o'clock, it just stayed here instead of dropping during this time. Instead of dropping and coming back up, it just stayed here during this period. So this is a time correction. If we had seen here that the market dropped from this point and then came back up during the same dates, that would have been a price correction, meaning it dropped and then returned. So that's the concept of time and price corrections, which we've now become more familiar with here. Now we've come to the analysis of a mode. We analyze that the market is ranging in a box. Well, eventually it has to break out of this box range, either to the downside or the upside. Now, the ADX comes to our aid. What is it? The positive DI, the blue one, has crossed above 21. It showed that the buyer's strength, or in other words, the purchasing power, is high. There is demand backing the market at this price, after all this time that the price had been standing still. Now, our ADX has crossed 40. The ADX signal has also been issued. And exactly at this point, guys, look, if we move our scroll bar, do you see this point where the ADX has broken 40? Guys, it's exactly where it broke out of our box. Did you see? Exactly at this point where it broke out of our box, this event happened. I can also show you this with a vertical line. Look, I come here, double click to turn it on, and you can see, guys, right here, my ADX has crossed 40. And now, if I want to show it with a line, here it is, exactly at the moment when it has exited my range box. Well, before that, it showed me here that the buyer's strength came in, the DI plus broke above 20. Okay, that's an analysis for me, but I don't pay attention to it yet. I'm still within my range box. Look here, guys, there was a shadow, but nothing happened with the ADX. Here for me, it's above 40, but right here, when you started the breakout and the pullback, what happened? The ADX went above 40, and exactly that's it for the ADX indicator topic. We can delete these extras, double click, right click, and deleting is also one way to remove things, right? Okay, so as we said, first we do our analysis, then based on our analysis, we use the ADX or other indicators to help us enter a trade. And it's very important to see which indicators are going to be used in our trading strategy. Work with and which confirmations at what levels are important for us. Guys, the default ADX itself does not have any levels on it. And we added these levels so you can get familiar with levels 20 and 40 more easily. The 20 level is for when the DIs are diverging from each other and shows which direction the strength is in. And the 40 level, when the ADX itself reaches it, gives us a signal. And the ADX, in whichever direction it is moving, when the DIs, this continues our strong bullish trend. Okay, now we can safely remove the ADX indicator from our chart and get to know another very popular trending indicator. Once again, please go to the Insert menu, select Indicators, then choose Trend, and the next option we see listed here is the Bollinger Bands.